परम करुणा पहुँ दुई जन निताई गौर चंद्रा। सब अवतार सार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा। भज भज भाई चैतन्य निताई सुदृढ़ विश्वास को। विषय छाड़िया सिर से माजिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि। देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवन नाई ए मन दयाल दाता। पशु पक्षी झुरे पाषाण विदरे सुनी जरा गुण गाता। संसारे मजिया रोहिली परिया से पदे नहिल आशा। अपना कर्म भुंजाए समन कोए लोचन दासा। परम करुणा पहुँ दुई जन निताई गौर चंद्रा। सब अवतार सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Every day we discuss Caitanya Bhagavata, and we'll continue for 15 minutes Caitanya Bhagavata. You hope you can find your manage this 15 minutes. We will just, because every day we do, today it is already 9:50, 8:50, so another 10-15 minutes we will do. And so Lila Govind has said that I forgot to mention about Pavan Prabhuji from Gurukul, who has designed all the submission forms, which are around more than 40. Thank you very much, Pavan Prabhu. All the Vijaya's teachers were also involved very actively. Thank you all the teachers of Gurukul. Karambiri Prabhu, who has answered all the mails from participants. Thank you, Karambir Prabhu. So everyone, our heartfelt gratitude, and be assured that whatever you have done for Krishna, Krishna is going to reciprocate. We have been discussing the chapter 11. Chapter 11 is about no, we were discussing chapter 12, and chapter 12 is the Nimai Pandit is wandering in the streets of Nawadwipa, and just see how he is wandering in the street, fearless, because he is, of course, is absolute truth. But as Nimai Pandit, he wanders in the streets of Nawadwipa. Nawadwipa was the center of learning, not only for India, of the entire world. So there are thousands of schools, thousands of teachers, and Nimai Pandit will defeat all those teachers in Sanskrit grammar, in Nyaya Shastra, in anything, in Alankara, in poetic compositions. You name anything, he would defeat each one of them. And then he would also catch hold of all the devotees like Mukunda, Gadadhara Pandit, and will defeat them also in the argument. And many devotees like Srivasa, they will flee seeing Nimai Pandit, because they realize that he is so brilliant, he is extraordinary, but he has no devotion to Krishna and he is wasting our time. So one day, all the devotees, they got together and they prayed. They prayed to that Nimai should become a devotee. Okay, and that pleased, because Nimai was thinking, if devotees bless me, then I will practice Krishna consciousness. He is setting the example that unless one is trained by a pure devotee, one will not understand ABC of Krishna Bhakti. So and we were there where one day, Lord Chaitanya actually, Nimai exhibited, he said, the pure devotional service manifested in his body, and his body was in ecstasy. He was actually not manifesting his pure devotion, because he, he's God, he's the murti of devotion, but he's holding on, he's hiding it. But one day suddenly it came out, and he doesn't want to disclose. So he gave his bodily transformation a material name, said there is a Vayu dosha in his body, and that is why he is having this problem. So can you imagine? This is why the Christian Padri, who actually studied all our saints, he said, among all saints, the foremost has to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is manifesting serious spiritual ecstasy, but is hiding. He doesn't want to show to others that he has devotion for Krishna. In fact, including Radharani, nobody ever shows that they have devotion for Krishna. In fact, everybody, all pure devotees, until Srimati Radharani, they always express that they have no devotion to Krishna. And we must follow in that footstep. We have to realize that we are in this material world, and we have told that only those who practice Krishna consciousness, they can practice so remaining within the material world, within the society. But how they can do that? If they are completely detached from everything. Okay? That means they have to be freed from their own mind, own intelligence, own false ego, and that's the only criteria by which they can become detached from this entire world, and they can connect everything to Krishna. Okay, so hence we as devotees, we have to learn high degree of discipline in terms of our practice, such that we don't present ourselves as very cheap. So Mahaprabhu suddenly uttered some unworldly sounds, and then he laughed as he rolled on the ground and nearly damaged the house. So you can imagine. So what kind of spiritual ecstasy must be that he damaged the house, okay, in the name of there is a Vayu dosa. He roared loudly and challenged everyone like a wrestler, and then he beat whoever he could catch. Again and again his entire body became stunned. He fell unconscious in such a way that people were frightened. When Nimai's friends and relatives heard about his gastric disorder, they came running to treat him. Buddhimanta Khan, Mukunda Sanjaya, you know that Mukunda Sanjaya is the person in whose courtyard Mahaprabhu, as from the age of 8, started his own Toal, own Sanskrit school. Their associates all came to the Lord's house. They applied some medicinal oil on the Lord's head, tried to cure him any way they could. Lord performs various pastimes by his sweet will. How can he be cured by some external remedies? This spiritual ecstasy that has manifested in his body is non-different from him. There is no question of curing him. Okay, so, but then devotees, out of concern for the Lord, they render some service, and that service itself also is purifying for us. All the limbs of Lord shivered. He shouted loudly in such a way that everyone was frightened. He then declared, I am the Lord of all. I maintain the universe. Therefore, I am named Vishwambhara. I think before he displayed his devotional or Sankirtan movement, and this is the Lila in which he declared that I am the Vishwambhara, I sustain the world. I sustain the world through Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness only Krishna consciousness can sustain the world. So, I am the Supreme Lord, but no one recognizes me. Saying this, the Lord tottered and everyone tried to catch him. In this way, the Lord manifested himself on the pretext of gastric disorder, yet by the influence of his illusory energy, no one could understand him. So this is, my dear friends, we have to note that how you imagine God has come and he is just like one of us. How is going to tell us that he is God? Right? Of course, through confidential manifestation he can do. That is how he did to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Raya Ramananda, Nrsimha Brahmachari, Srivasa, Kolabecha Sridhara. There are so many who were blessed to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna. But in public, to say that I am God, even Lord Ram didn't do that. But Krishna did it in public when he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So this is something that we have to note down. In this way, okay, we read this. Someone said he has been possessed by a demon. Someone else said this is the work of a witch. Another said since he is always speaking, it is certainly a gastric disorder. In this way, everyone gave different opinion, but by the influence of Lord's illusory potency, no one understood the truth. Naham prakasa sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. They applied various medicated oils on the Lord's head and they put him in a wooden tub filled with oil and rubbed his body. Immersed in that oil, the Lord began to laugh as if a terrible gastric odor had actually infected him. While thus enjoying his pastimes according to his own will, the Lord became normal as if relieved of his gastric disorder. Everyone then chanted the names of Hari in ecstasy. In jubilation, they distributed cloths to one another without discrimination. Everyone was pleased to hear about Lord's recovery and they blessed him. Such a scholar should live a long life. So, sometimes we really don't recognize who is Nimai Pandit as a scholar. Of course, there are many scholars. Scholars have come to this world. They have disappeared from generation to generation, from yuga to yuga. But never there would be a scholar like Nimai Pandit because he is Krishna himself. Krishna never came as a scholar the way he came as Nimai Pandit. So he is a terrorizing personality. The atheists, Bhattacharyas, Chakravartis, everyone would fear Mahaprabhu as if they are facing their death personified. Okay. When all the Vaishnavas saw the Lord, they told him, "Dear Nimai, please worship the lotus feet of Krishna. This body is temporary. It may be vanquished the next moment, but you are a sober person. What can we teach you?" The Lord smiled at the Vaishnavas and offered them obeisances, then left for school with his students. The Lord taught his students in the Chandi Mandapa within the courtyard of fortunate Mukunda Sanjaya. As the Lord began to teach, his head was smeared with fragrant medicated oil that was given by some pious person. Nimai, the life of the universe, sat and taught in the midst of his many fortunate students. I am unable to describe or give a comparison for that wonderful scene. It appeared that Lord Narayana was sitting in Badrikashram surrounded by his disciples, headed by Sanaka. Lord Gaurachandra now enjoyed the same pastimes as when Lord Narayana personally taught his disciple. Nara Narayana Rishi are permanently there in Badrikashram and they have been performing severe austerities from time immemorial, and that is why Lakshmi Devi has become Badri tree to cover Lord Narayana. So that's why you will see a lot of Badri trees in Badrinath, and that's why it is also Badrinath. So Badri is actually Lakshmi Devi, and in the class of Narayana, Badri Narayana, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumar. So these are the personalities, the Hamsas, they come and they attend his class. So Sri Sachinandan is certainly that same Lord Narayana who resides in Badrikashram. Therefore, the Lord of Vaikuntha enjoyed those same pastimes while relishing the scholastic pleasures with his students. After teaching at midway, the Lord would take his students for bath in the Ganges. Sometime, our Piyush yesterday was asking this question. Piyush was asking this question that what is the use of logic, this and that. You see that Mahaprabhu engaged in logic. Mahaprabhu engaged in Nyaya Shastra, poetic compositions. In fact, everything is Krishna's. Everything can be used to understand the scientific tattva of Krishna. So logic is necessary, mathematics is necessary, science is necessary to establish the absolute nature of Krishna. So nothing we can say is, if anything in this world is existing, that must have some connection with Krishna. Just like a thief. Thief has connection to Krishna because Krishna is originally a thief, butter thief. So similarly, anything that we see in this world must have some connection with Krishna. The Lord sported in the waters of Ganges for some time and then returned home to worship Lord Vishnu. Then after watering and circumambulating Tulasi, the Lord recited the name of Hari as he sat down to eat. Lakshmi served rice and the Lord Vaikuntha ate. The pious mother Sachi was to her full satisfaction. After finishing his meal, the Lord chewed betel knots and then laid down while Lakshmi massaged his lotus feet. After taking some rest, the Lord again went out with his books. In fact, those days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a Nimai Pandit, would read his books very seriously, would write commentary. You see, he is not an ordinary boy. Just because it is not written, because none of you know what does it mean to become a scholar. Suppose I am in IIT Kanpur, I will not be told a scholar unless my students are publishing papers, are able to defend their work, they are submitting their thesis. Because many people, they don't have an idea what does it mean to be a scholar. And to be a scholar in IIT is one thing, to be a scholar in MIT is another thing. Okay, so, and to be a scholar in a small college will be another thing. So, and here Nimai is a scholar in Nawadwipa, the topmost learning center. You can say the standard of MIT or Harvard in that period. So Nimai enjoyed various pastimes in the city and smiled as he talked with his residents. Okay. Although no one knew his real identity, the residents still offered him respects whenever they saw him. Although Sri Sachinandan is rarely seen by even demigods, he now wandered through the streets of Nawadwipa within the sight of all. So everybody had a darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the point is that whether you understand him or not, his darshan itself is all liberating. Just like anybody who was killed in the battlefield of Purushottam attained Vaikuntha because they saw Krishna. Similarly, here in Nawadwipa, everybody saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And hence, they all got liberation. One day the Lord went to the house of a weaver and the weaver respectfully offered him obeisances. The portion of Bamanpukara village that is even today known as Tantipada was inhabited at that time by cloth weavers. The late Kanti Chandra Radhi and his grandson Phani Bhusana have identified themselves as belonging to the family of cloth weavers from the time of Mahaprabhu. Though they have tried to re-establish their residence at Ramachandrapura and Barogora Ghata, they in fact have no connection with the cloth weavers of Nawadwipa at the time of Mahaprabhu. Though the descendants of bell metal traders of ancient Nawadwipa live in Kulia even today, they nevertheless go to worship goddess Sasti by worshipping the ancient Simantani Devi near Bamanpukura. This is the same Rajapur Jagannath temple at the place now known as Khalsepada. Therefore, ancient Nawadwipa cannot be located at the present day places of Barogara Ghat, Ramachandrapura or Satakulia. I cannot explain to you any of this because I am very poor in understanding the geography of all these locations. The weaving communities of Barogara Ghat and Kulia can never be the same as the ancient weaving communities from the time of Lord. The weaving communities from the time of Lord are not opposed to the Lord even today, but some members of weaving communities of Kulia take advantage of Lord while putting forward useless argument to establish Sakta philosophy. Anyway, this is a little historical, but I could not follow any of these things because I have very little understanding of the geography and the historical descendants. The Lord said, "Bring one nice piece of cloth." The weaver immediately brought some cloth. The Lord then asked, "What is the price of this cloth?" The weaver replied, "Give me whatever you like." After settling the price, the Lord said, "I do not have any money right now." The weaver then said, "Oh Gosai, you can give me in 10 or 15 days. You take the cloth and happily wear it. You can pay me whenever you please." After mercifully glancing at the weaver, the Lord continued unto the house of a cowherd. So first a weaver, then a cowherd. Mahaprabhu sat down on his veranda and began to make fun of the activities of the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are Bhattacharya, Chakravartis, who are not interested in devotion to Krishna, but in Dukrun Karanam. The Lord said, "O son, bring me some milk and yogurt. Today I am going to accept charity from your house." The cowherd man thought Nimai looking just like Cupid. They respectfully offered him a nice asana. They began to joke with the Lord, address him as uncle. One of them said, "Come uncle, let us go and eat some rice." Then one of them took Nimai on his shoulder and carried him to his house. Another said, "Don't you remember how you previously ate all the rice in my house?" Although the cowherd boys didn't realize it, by the grace of the transcendental goddess of learning, Saraswati, whatever they spoke was true. Meanwhile, Nimai simply smiled at their words. Nimai would not go to anybody's place unless they are his eternal associates. So obviously, they were there in Krishna Lila as well. All the Gopas, they happily offered the Lord milk, ghee, yogurt, cream and butter. After being satisfied by the Gopas, Lord went to the house of a perfume merchant. It is same thing like in the Mathura Bijaya, when Lord first met the dhobi and then the tailor and then kubja and then the garland maker. So the perfume merchant. The merchant offered his respectful obeisance to the Lord, who said, "Oh brother, bring me some of your best perfume." The perfume merchant immediately brought some of his best perfume. And Sri Sachidananda inquired, "What is the price?" Merchant replied, "You know, my dear sir, is it befitting for me to take money from you? Today you apply this oil and go home. If after taking bath tomorrow the fragrance still remains, then you may pay me whatever you like." After saying this, merchant happily applied the perfume on the body of the Lord. The Lord is the super soul of all living entities. Therefore, he attracts the mind of all. who is not attracted by seeing his beautiful form. Vishwambhara bestowed his mercy on the merchant and then continued on the house of a florist. You see, the similar sequence. When the florist saw Nimai's most wonderful form, he offered him obeisances and a place to sit. The Lord said, "O florist, I would like a nice garland, but I have no money with me." Appreciating that Nimai had the symptoms of a spiritually perfect soul, the florist said, "You do not need to pay." After saying this, the florist garlanded the Lord, who smiled in the company of his student. Can you imagine? What Lord will pay to them? Everything is His only. So by giving something to the Lord, already they are filling their house with so much of opulences. Recently we read Rukmini's, Krishna kidnapping Rukmini, and there we saw that the Brahmana went as a messenger of Rukmini and he was not returning. Rukmini was in great anxiety and she was blaming her own fortune, her own bad karma, past bad karma, and her own negative qualifications and so forth. And that is the time Brahmana came with a big eyes, big smile, and Rukmini realized something positive has happened. And as soon as Brahmana said, "Krishna is already in your capital," wow, Rukmini wanted to give something to the Brahmana, but she felt within her heart, what can I give him? The act that he has performed on my behalf is so valuable. Nothing that I possess is equal. So she was not able to give, but she wanted to give. And as she was desiring to give, the Brahmana's house, wherever it was, is getting filled with all jewels. Just like, you saw that fruit seller. The fruit seller, she was giving filling the Krishna's hand with fruits, and her tokri or basket was getting filled with all kind of jewels. Same thing. My dear friends, if we want Krishna consciousness, we should not aspire for anything. Now we should not think, oh, Brahmana's house became filled with jewels and what is his name? The fruit vendor's tokri basket got filled with jewels. So I must worship Krishna. So that is good, but that is a very low standard. We should never ever expect anything from Krishna except that pure devotion. We want spontaneous attraction for Krishna. That is what we need. We want Krishna to reside within our heart. That's all we want. So, I think 21:15, so we are going to stop after 3-4 verses. After saying this, the florist garlanded the Lord, who smiled in the company of his students. After casting his merciful glance on the florist, Gauranga went to the house of Battle-Knot merchant. The merchant saw Nimai's form as more enchanting than that of Cupid. He took dust from Nimai's feet, because earlier everybody used to worship Brahmanas, and offered him a place to sit. The merchant said, "It is my great fortune that you have come to my house, insignificant as I am." In full satisfaction and without being asked, the merchant then offered Battle-Knot to the Lord, who smiled. The Lord then said, "Why did you give me battle without payment?" The merchant replied, "I was inspired to." The Lord smiled on hearing the merchant's reply, and he chewed the Battle-Knot with great satisfaction. Anything we are doing for Krishna without any expectation, my dear friend, that is pure devotional service. The merchant then devotedly offered Nimai some pan, camphor and other spices free of cost. After blessing the merchant, Gaur smiled as he continued wandering the streets of Nawadwipa. So we should stop here. We will start from text number 143 tomorrow. Thank you, dear devotees. Today was a very wonderful day. We are able to appreciate all those great Vaishnavas, all the devotees, all the volunteers, everyone who paid, who rendered service to Krishna on the occasion.
One important name I forgot.
Yeah, I'm saying that, Raghunath. I'm saying that. I am going to tell. So everyone who rendered service to Krishna in the form of Krishnanusilanam, thank you very much. So we also gratefully acknowledge the service of Raghunath. He made videos for advertising, and he was doing his own, he was exhibiting his own skill in making Krishnanusilanam video to reach as many people. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you joining us, and I can especially make a prayer for all of you that Lord Krishna bless.
Before you and Prabhuji, Nirmal Bankar Mataji has already joined. Mataji, please tell her to.
Nirmal Mataji, thank you very much. If you can come on the video, we can have your darshan. Thank you very much, Nirmal Mataji. And we heard your great service from Narayani Mataji. And thank you so much. And we look forward to your association with Vijayas in more such outreach program. Lord bless you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Lila Govind also saying Manohar Caitanya Prabhu, whom I forgot to mention, he has conducted Krishna book online quiz for 11 to 14 years, almost more than 2 hours. Everyone were fully engaged with his wonderful oratory skill. He kindly accepted at a very short notice for this service. Thank you. Who is Manohar Chaitanya? Acha, Meher. Meher is Manohar Chaitanya. I have completely forgotten. I was saying, who is Manohar Chaitanya? Okay, our Meher Pritam. Good. So, everyone, thank you very much. There are many names there missing your memory, everybody's memory, but I am pretty sure it is not necessary. Krishna has realized everyone who has served, and Krishna situated in everyone's heart. He knows how. I have told within ISKCON, GBC members and gurus, they are anyway worshipped. But then there are many unsung heroes within ISKCON, and they are never glorified. But let me tell you, Krishna is very pleased with such unsung heroes. If they would not be there, what is the use of gurus, or what are the use of GVCs, or what is the use of Lila Purushottam Das or Narayani Mataji or any one of us? Okay? So I think because we are very proud, puffed up, we are having false ego. So Krishna is saying, okay, you are a director, you are principal, you are this and that, and hence we think that we are great fellows, but unsung heroes are the real heroes. So on this occasion, I thank everyone. Lord bless all of you with good health, long life, and eternal service to Krishna's lotus feet. Lord Gauranga always stay within our heart. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.